Hello and welcome to Power Skills with Janna. I'm Janna Jones, your leadership development specialist, coach, and mentor. Today, we are talking about one of the most crucial skills for both personal and professional success, building resilience. Resilience is not the absence of adversity, but our ability to adapt and to recover from challenges, setbacks, or adversity and continue moving forward. So, in today's fast paced, ever changing world, developing resilience is quite essential. Whether you're a leader facing tough decisions, a professional dealing with pressures, or perhaps navigating personal challenges, resilience allows you to thrive despite the obstacles. In this episode, we are going to explore what resilience is, why it's important, and how you can build and strengthen it. So by the end, you'll have practical strategies that you can start using today to cultivate greater resilience and face life's challenges head on. So let's start with what it is, what it isn't, and why it's so important. Resilience is often thought of as the ability to bounce back from difficult situations, but it's much more than just recovering from hardship. It's about adapting with agility, growing, and even thriving through adversity. It's our capacity to handle life's challenges without getting really overwhelmed or stuck and feeling stagnant. Because we're human and the spectrum of life includes a little mess at times, challenges are inevitable. And so resilience becomes increasingly important. No matter how much we plan or prepare, life will throw us curveballs. Whether it's personal crisis, a professional setback, or even a global event like a pandemic, we can feel stuck, helpless, hopeless, or spiral in excessive remuneration, or we can adapt. Resilience is what allows us to stay grounded, refocus on what is within our control, and keep moving forward. The good news? Resilience isn't something that you're either born with or without. It's a skill just like any other, and so it can be developed just like any other leadership skill. And that's what we're here to work through together today. So let's talk about the components of resilience, mindset, and emotional regulation. If we break down resilience into two key components, mindset and emotional regulation, firstly, your mindset plays a very significant role in how you perceive and respond to challenges. Developing a growth mindset, believing that challenges are opportunities to learn and grow, is crucial. So instead of seeing failure as a dead end, resilient people tend to see it as a stepping stone to success. They embrace challenges because they know that it's through adversity that they'll build strength. And emotional regulation, because resilience also involves being able to manage your emotions during difficult times. Life is full of emotional highs and lows. And while it's important to acknowledge your emotions, it is equally important not to let them dictate your actions. Building resilience means learning to pause, to reflect and respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively when stress and adversity arises. Refocusing on what is within your control in order to get unstuck or to move forward is the key. This is also a little bit on internal locus of control that we're touching on here, and I go into that much deeper in episode 7. I know that a lot of listeners skipped that one, so perhaps not knowing the value of the concept as it was titled that, enough to make a commitment to listening to it, but I promise it's worth it. So if you did want to dig a little bit deeper into that, please go ahead and look for episode 7, internal or external locus of control. That awareness fundamentally shifted how I respond in the face of adversity and refocus quicker on what is within my control, allowing me to overcome and then to progress quicker. On that note, let's consider some of the strategies that you can adapt and adopt to build resilience. Now that we understand what resilience is, perhaps we can start to work on some practical strategies for building it. As always, start with self-awareness. If you're a regular listener, you will have heard me say this too many times already, but the first step is always self-awareness, and I cannot stress this enough. In building resilience, this means paying attention to how you typically react to stress or adversity. Do you get overwhelmed? Do you shut down? Do you get angry? Do you react and make quick decisions only to realize it's a less than ideal result of them later on? and wish for a do-over. Understanding your own emotional triggers is what will help you to start to recognize them in the moment with a view to regulate your responses more effectively in future. Build a support network. Resilient people do not get through life's challenges alone. My mother used to tell me that shared joy is doubled while shared sorrow is halved. Smart lady. Resilient people tend to have a support system that they can rely on, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, or mentors. When things get tough, reach out to your network, share your struggles, ask for advice, or simply lean on them for emotional support. Remember that asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Practice self-compassion. I know that it can be so much easier to be hard on ourselves when things don't go according to plan, but digging deep in our fallibility and being overly critical can actually undermine your resilience, especially over time. Practicing self-compassion, such as treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend or a colleague, instead of dwelling on your mistakes, focus on what you can learn from it and how you can move forward or what you would do differently in future. Develop problem-solving skills. Resilience is not about avoiding problems and burying your head in the sand. It's actually about facing them head on. So when you encounter a challenge, breaking it down into smaller and manageable and actionable parts, what's within your control? What are your options? What is one small step that you can take now in order to move forward? The more you practice solving problems rather than excessively ruminating over them, the more confident and resilient you will become. Prioritize self-care because it's not selfish, it's self-full. Resilience is so closely tied to your physical and mental well-being. When we're burned out, when we're stressed and physically exhausted, it's harder to bounce back. I'm sure we all have experienced this effect at some point. So making sure you're prioritizing your self-care by getting enough rest, eating well, exercising regularly, and engaging in activities that recharge you or energize you, whether that's spending time with loved ones, meditating, or pursuing a hobby, that may be the missing piece for you. Embrace change. One of the greatest challenges to resilience is our natural resistance to change. But the reality is, our only constant in life is change. It really is inevitable, whether we like it or not. Much more likely to embrace it. Of course, that doesn't mean that they do so immediately. Resilience is not perfection. It may take a little while to view the change in question with weariness or change fatigue or question the validity of the change. That is perfectly natural. Remember, it's not about the absence of adversity or challenges, but our ability to bounce back. So initial reactions may, of course, still be resistant to start with, but then you have the opportunity through self-awareness to reassess and reset. Instead of seeing the change as a threat, then you can start to try and see it as an opportunity for growth, learning, and improvement. The more flexible you are, the easier it will be to adapt when life throws something unexpected your way. So we know that setbacks are part of the roller coaster that is life. The key to resilience is really not avoiding them, learning how to navigate them when they occur. Let me share some of my top 3 things that I like to keep in mind. I'll always start by reframing the setback. I do a lot of work on cognitive frames with leaders, but let me keep this brief. Instead of seeing a setback as a failure, I will try to reframe it as a learning experience or a growth opportunity. Even if things do go wrong, perhaps you can consider what you can learn from the situation. How might you approach things differently next time? Every setback can be an opportunity to grow. I love asking leaders, what is their biggest leadership failure? Because often that seemingly uncomfortable situation comes from the greatest learnings. Perhaps you could consider this in your own context. What is your greatest leadership failure? And was it worth it? Did you learn from it? Have you changed since then? Have you grown and developed? Number 2, I like to refocus on what I can control. When things go wrong, it's so easy to get caught up in the things that are outside of our control and influence. The fact is, It's usually a standard reaction, but unfortunately, that's how we get stuck and unable to find a way forward. Resilient people recognize this and are able to bounce back by refocusing their attention, effort, and energy on what they can control. This might mean adjusting your attitude or shifting your perspective, owning your part if it's a challenging situation, owning your part in it, having a tough conversation, or taking another small action in order to move forward. Number 3, stay optimistic. I know this sounds very cliche, but optimism is actually a key trait of resilient people. I don't mean the glass is half full kind of optimism, but the glass is certainly refillable. That doesn't mean ignoring the reality or pretending that everything is perfect either. It means maintaining hope and belief in your ability to overcome obstacles. Even in the darkest times, resilient people keep their eyes on the future and trust that reframing the setback and focusing on what they can control and taking small actions in order to move forward, things will start to improve over time. For leaders, resilience is especially important as a trait. Leading others through change, setbacks, and uncertainty requires strength and emotional stability. If you want to demonstrate resilience as a leader, lead by example. Show your team how to handle challenges with grace and determination. Your resilience will inspire others to follow suit. Encourage open communication. Make sure your team feels safe to share their concerns and their challenges. Open communication fosters a sense of trust and resilience within a team. Celebrate the small wins. Resilience is built over time, and celebrating small victories along the way helps to maintain a positive and forward-thinking mindset in a team. It shows people that they are capable of different things that they necessarily didn't think they were to start with. It may also provide some positive context and experience in future when negative talk or self-doubt creeps in. They can be used to counteract it. Resilience is so much more than just the ability to recover from difficult times. It's the strength to grow and to learn and to adapt. By cultivating self-awareness, building a support system, practicing self-compassion, and embracing change, you can build your resilience and face life's challenges with a little bit more confidence. Perhaps there's a challenge that you're facing right now that you might shift and reframe that setback. Focus on what's within your control. Leverage an internal locus of control, perhaps. Stay optimistic. Your efforts matter and will make a difference as you find and navigate your way forward. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today on Power Skills with Janna. I've talked quite a bit about internal locus of control in this episode, so I will also be sure to link that episode in the show notes if that would be of interest to you. I believe it is episode 7. If you did enjoy this episode, please don't forget to subscribe for more insightful tips and tricks to enhance your leadership and personal growth. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn via Power Skills Development. And if you're interested in doing some further leadership development work with me, please don't hesitate to reach out via www.powerskillsdevelopment.com. Until next time, stay strong, stay resilient, and keep growing, and have a fabulous rest of your week.